Hello everyone, my name is Christian. Welcome to my hobby blog. Today I'm very excited to do our, I believe, 18th video, 18th Withering Watchpile episode. I'm looking right now. Yes, it is 18. Okay. Today we are doing a box set battle, or battle of the box sets. We each chose one using a sort of metric that we developed of a company versus another company. I did Vinegar Syndrome, and CultFlixFix24 did Error Video. And before we get into that, welcome back.
Thank you, Christian, for having me again, man. It's always fun, and I enjoy these segments every time. And I just love talking films and exploring new stuff. So this is something new here to battle box sets. I'm kind of excited for that. So thanks again for having me, man.
Yeah, no problem. I'm so tempted to say how I feel about my box set right now, but I want it to be a surprise because I have thoughts. Um, I guess since I chose the topic, I will go first. So the reason I chose this box set is because it's been in my watch table, which is the table out there, and it's like right beside my Alfred Hitchcock box set that I've had for like 6 years. That I'm slowly getting. I only have 2 movies left on that fucking Hitchcock set, and once I'm done with that, then it was like the Batman animated box set, and then this box set. And I was like, fuck, like I need to watch these movies. So I finally chose it. And I bought it because the director in the other movies I own, he produced this trilogy. And because of this trilogy, I no longer like him. And I even watched a different movie of his um, after the second one, I believe. And I saw it. I saw the light. And the box set that I did, the guy is named Jalal Merhi, co-starring Cynthia Rothrock. Sounds fucking awesome, but no, it's not. Which I guess I just gave it away, but Tiger Claws.
Oh man.
This set, this is what I did. I chose it because I have a stack of movies here that are directly related to this release. So I have the 3 films by Jalal Merhi. TC 2000, Expect No Mercy in the middle, which is a new release. And then Talons of the Eagle. TC 2000 is legitimately awesome. I love it. Expect No Mercy is like right there, like in the like so bad it's good. And then Talons of the Eagle, I have no recollection of. And I also chose this set because Cynthia Rothrock is in it, which I did not know. I was reading the back of it after we decided what box set to do. Because I have the, what's it called? The Camille Keaton box set out there. With the Camille Keaton in Italy box set out there. And I also have the Primetime Panic. I have that box set too. Those were the obvious ones I wanted to choose. And I said, you know what? I've had this box set forever. Since I think it was right when it came out. I think that Black Friday last year. That's when I got it. So it's been about 9 months, 10 months that I've had this. And I finally watched it. And Cynthia Rothrock is in it. And if you haven't seen it already, I recently went through this set, the Righting Wrongs, Cynthia Rothrock best film she's ever done and ever will do, because I'll just watch that video. I'm not going to go over that again, but she's awesome in it. And so all of that together, having those 3 films by that producer Jalal Merhi and Cynthia Rothrock, and we have Bolo Young in this film, who, if you don't know him, he's a big muscly guy in Big Trouble in Little China. He's like huge, and he's also in a lot of Bruce Lee films. He's also in a lot of Sammo Hung movies too. So he's like every star-studded cast in these movies. And I guess I'll talk about the first movie. And here's the back of it, which is so fucking awesome.
Oh yeah, it's nice
Yeah,
art right
you
there.
have Cynthia Rothrock and you have Jalal Merhi and then Bolo Young. who I have some really fun stories to talk about him later. There's some weird shit going on behind the scenes of this trilogy. So this movie's directed by Kelly Mackin, who, if you don't know who he is, he directed the Kids in the Hall TV show and movies. He's like a real director.
Oh well.
And Jalal Murray chose him because he was like a real director. And because TC-2000 was the first movie they all did. And that was just, I think he himself directed it. And if not, he got a first-time director. So it was like very not amateur, but very low budget. And for this movie, they had a bunch of money because TC-2000 was so successful. Because it's awesome. I love TC-2000. But
yeah, I seen that one. I'm a fan of it too.
Yeah, like it's really fucking like awesome. But I'll just read through my notes that I wrote because I was bored during this movie. It was bad. I said that the fighting is pretty awful in the beginning because Cynthia Rothrock is pretending to be a prostitute and she gets like hustled by somebody like in the alleyway and she like does her kung fu and she's awesome, Cynthia Rothrock. Like, and I said that the fighting is pretty awful, except there's a pretty cool explosion at the end of it because every action movie in the beginning that always ends that first scene with an explosion. But he is the producer and director kept telling Cynthia Rothrock during all three of these movies, this is something she talked about in the documentaries, is that they told her like, hey, like you don't have to actually hit us when we're doing the fights. And we'll cut away. So when you're punching, it'll look like you hit them, but we're cutting it right before you actually hit them. And it's like, you don't actually have to hit them. And she was like, yeah, that was pretty awful to do because she was in a lot of Hong Kong films like Righting Wrongs and Above the Law, which is the American cut. And she, in that, they literally beat each other up. I mean, she broke a nose in that movie. She, like, broke a kneecap, like, at some point of another movie. Yuan Bu, who is the other cop that she's partnered with, he, like, almost shattered his back jumping off the second story. Like, shit went down during Righting Wrongs and all the other Hong Kong films that she was in. And she said that it was the most bizarre experience ever filming these movies because of the fight scenes, because none of it is real. They're not hitting each other at all. And she, I wouldn't say ranted, but she was pretty clear in her disappointment because throughout all three films, when she was fighting someone, every now and then she would actually hit the person, and they would get all pissed off and they would have to redo the shoot. And she was like, what the fuck? Like, this is an action movie. We should be connecting. Like, you're not going to hurt me. And at one point, she said, I think during the filming of the first movie, she was told that, like, everyone was afraid to hit her because she's, like, 5 foot tall and, like, small. And, she's this #1 world champion in, like, 5 different martial arts styles. And they started the documentary off with her just talking, like, in the middle of one of her answers. And she was like, yeah, they really didn't know that I could kill them in, like, one punch. Like, they did not know that. And, like, I could if I wanted, but, like, they're not gonna hurt me at all. Like, and that was really funny to listen to her say all that. And before I go on, I should probably read what the synopsis is for those who don't know these movies. They're pretty short. They're like half a paragraph. When the bodies of local martial arts masters keep turning up with mysterious claw marks in their skin, NYPD detective and martial arts enthusiast Tarek Richards, played by Jalal Murray, who is the hack producer who I don't like anymore, is put on the case. Tasked with trying to stop these killings, Richards is teamed up with a new partner, the no-nonsense Linda Masterson, played by Cynthia Rothrock, who is quite capable of defending herself in a fight. Also in real life, because she can kill you in one punch. Together, they must track down this mysterious serial killer and uncover the secret behind an ancient martial arts technique known as Tiger Claws, which is a real, actual technique I learned because Cynthia Rothrock talked about how excited she was to have a movie all about it. But that movie sounds pretty cool. You have Cynthia Rothrock, you have ancient martial art techniques. You have the cop angle, which is no nonsense, partner. You're on the case and all this stuff. Yeah. Sounds awesome. It's not. It sucks. But the entire movie, Cynthia Rothrock is just just the question person that we see in every action movie, bad action movie. Was who are you talking about? Where is he? What are they doing? It's like watching a Neil Breen movie. It's so bad. And she barely even fights in any of these movies, which the third movie, it makes sense because of reasons I'll explain later, but it is so bad. And Cynthia Rothrock talked about how this movie was impossible to act in because in Hong Kong, when she was filming those movies, they would just be okay, we're going to choreograph this fight scene. Okay, go. Okay, now what you're going to do next is you're going to walk up and say your line, and then we'll cut away, and we're just going to dub you. Don't worry about your, acting. Just say the lines, and we'll dub you. Which I didn't know about, that Hong Kong did that a lot, just like the Jolly genre, that they did not record on-camera audio. So later on, they would record it, just like Italy. It's really bizarre. I don't know why.
Wow.
Why they would do that. But I noticed this right away, and it was pretty validating to hear Cynthia Rothrock back me up on this. But I could notice that the editing is what makes the fights intense. And because they would be punching each other, and right before they connected, it was whoop, and then they would punch the other guy. And it was, some of them were really obvious. If you pause it or go frame by frame, it looks so bad. I didn't go frame by frame because I could see it. I didn't need to do that, but if you didn't notice it, do it. Apparently, in one of the scenes later in the movie, because there was a pretty dismally boring fight scene with Jalal Mahi, who there was some really funny trivia later all about him and his martial arts skill or lack thereof. But he it's not a good fight. And Cynthia Rothrock is nowhere to be seen in this scene. And the whole time I'm where the fuck is she? And 20 minutes later, we still haven't seen her. And she walks on camera and she's oh no, my car broke down. And I'm where have you been? Did they write that in the script? Because they don't address it in the documentary. Usually they do. They addressed another issue that I had with the movie, in the third one. But in this one, it was oh yeah, my car broke down. So she was gone for 30 minutes of the movie. I was pissed. And then 23 minutes before the movie ends, we get the reveal of who the serial killer is using the tiger claws. But it is so fucking obvious the moment you see him. You don't even need to watch the movie. Look at the back of the box. You know who he is. It's that guy. He looks evil. He's looming over our two main characters. They are giving it away. Also,
the claw him like that.
Yeah, he's literally doing it right here. He's doing the claw. There's no suspense on who the killer is. And, oh my god, it's so bad. But either way, during one of the final fights of the movie, it is obvious how skilled Cynthia Rothrock is. And she's fighting against Bolo Young, who is the big muscle guy from Big Trouble in Little China, and both of them are actually really fucking good. They're both at the top of their classes and the weight class and all the styles that they know. And they both have worked with each other in Hong Kong, so they both knew each other and could easily fight each other. They knew choreography. But it was so obvious that they only rehearsed 2 takes maybe of the fights. And then, because, they talk about in the documentary how just they had no budget for this movie. Because they spent it all or they got a lot of money from TC 2000, and then they paid Bolo Young a shit ton of money because he was also in TC 2000, and he asked for a lot of money to do this movie, and so he made a lot of money on 2 of these films. But the final fight, which I think is the lamest fight I've ever seen, is in a room of cardboard boxes, which I have said many times, well, maybe not on the channel, but in general martial arts, don't have your final fight or any fight be in a room of cardboard boxes where people get kicked and they fall against boxes and it's all empty and they just fall over and they have to act like they died from hitting a cardboard box. It's fucking stupid. I hate it when martial arts movies do this. And I don't blame them like too much about that, but it's my least favorite trope in martial arts films is when they walk into the big final battle arena and it's just a bunch of boxes. Like, get glass. Like, there's a reason why that final fight in one of those Bruce Lee films, maybe Game of Death, Enter the Dragon, maybe the one with John Saxon. I think it's that one where at the end,
Yeah.
they have a lot of the glass like mirrors and stuff. Like that is a whole lot better than this fight where people are falling against cardboard boxes. And my final note was that this movie is so fucking lame. That's what I last wrote. But I'm gonna go into the documentary now, which I've said a lot of it already, so it'll probably be fast. But again, she starts right off the bat with Cynthia Rothrock just talking and saying like, yeah, you know, I wasn't able to do many fights of the movie because people were afraid to hurt her, is what she was saying. Because she's a woman. And she said, if I wanted to, I could kill you so quickly in one punch. Quote. And she laughs about it. And I was like, yeah, like that's Cynthia Rothrock. She's still undefeated. And she's like in her 60s. Like, she's badass. Mm-hmm. But either way, she talks about her time in oh wait, I was talking about Jalal Murray, sorry. I had to go do something real quick if you're wondering about the cut that we just did. Jalal Murray says he didn't want a token female character lead. And so he wanted an equal like lead. So it was like, you know, 50% of the movie or like all of them have equal kind of contributions to the film. And that is not the case at all. She is absolutely just in the background for most of the movie, talking and just not really contributing at all. And he is doing so much more. So in my head, I was like, you're just saying that. Like, and he was talking about how this movie was pioneering, like, women in action films. Righting Wrongs was 10 years before this movie. And Cynthia Rothrock was, like, world famous by the time this movie came out. So I don't know what he is talking about. But the most interesting part was Cynthia Rothrock talking about her moving from Hong Kong to the U.S. and how she had a lot of difficulties in her acting career because people wanted her to act and not fight. And she's like, I don't know how to act. Like, I have no idea how to act. Like, she didn't go to acting school. She talked about how when she was a little girl, she watched a lot of Jackie Chan movies, Bruce Lee, all these different, like, awesome action stars. And she was like, I want to be the best in the world. And she fucking did it. She became the best in the world. And, like, that was, like, my favorite part of the documentaries. And there was a lot of weird talk from Jalal Murray about the funding for this movie. And I don't really know what the deal is, but it seemed like he tricked the investors into thinking that he had the film, like, ready to go, like, filmed and done. But apparently he only had, like, a short script done. I think he described it as, like, he had some sentences written down of, like, one of the dialogue scenes. Because he was at, like, a film festival, I think, for TC 2000, advertising it. And people were like, oh, what other movies do you have? And he's like, oh, I have one. And they were like, okay, like, let us, like, read a scene of it. And so he, like, wrote down a few lines from one of the scenes that ended up being in the movie. And they were like, okay, cool, like, we'll fund it, whatever, like the rest of the shoot if you still have to do stuff and, distribute. And he was like, okay. And then he just filmed the movie as quickly as he could, is my impression of what he was saying. It's very weird what he was talking about. But, one of the investors made them put Bolo Young in it more because Jalal Mahi promised that he was in it. And then when he showed them the footage of the movie, he was in like one fight scene. And the investors were like, what the fuck? Like, you said, like, he was this big major villain. He's like, oh yeah, we're still filming. And he like rewrote like half the script to like put him as the main villain. It's really like clusterfuck. I've already told this about how Cynthia talks about how she didn't really need to act in Hong Kong and just focus on the action. She tells a pretty funny story in this documentary about how her mom came to the set with her new puppy, and her mom heard about who Bolo Young was because he's big famous and all that, and he's like this big menacing guy, and she didn't know his name, and like she knew it was like something Bo something, so she started calling him Bozo like the mom was. And Cynthia Rothrock is sitting there like, oh my god, like, mom, do not call him Bozo, like he will kill you, like he will crush you in like one hit. And apparently, like, the rest of the shoot, everyone was calling him Bozo behind his back. And I was like, gosh, like, poor Bolo. Like, he... And she also talked about how disappointed she was in the fights. Because, as I said earlier, in Hong Kong, they had full contact fights. And they would slowly bruise as they were filming, and they would have to stop and go film a non-fight scene. Because they looked horrible, like, by the end of the fight. And she was just really mad, like, about all of that, about how the fighting worked. And she said at one point she did hit Bolo, and he was, like, so happy. Like, he was like, yeah, he was like, do that more. And, like, some producer or somebody was like, hey, like, you can't do that, like, insurance won't let us. And Bolo and Cynthia would be like, oh, whoops, we accidentally punched him. Oh, whoops, and try and make the final fight somewhat interesting. And then the final note that I have, then I'll rest my voice. Jalal Mahi, as I said earlier, claimed that this was one of the first movies to have equal representation of a woman and man lead. And I wrote down here that Cynthia Rothrock should have been the lone lead of this movie. She is in the background most of the movie. She has a few lines. She doesn't really have any good fights, really, at all. And that's mostly just because of whatever it's called. Lack of rehearsals. So, that's the first movie. I think that's the one I have the most notes on. But I hated this one. I was very disappointed.
No wonder they say her better films were the Hong Kong ones. I hear everyone say the ones from Hong Kong. You watch those.
I've only seen one.
Comes to the
and
U.S.
I fully agree.
Same here. I've only seen Righting Wrongs. That's the only film I've seen.
She is awesome in it.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
it's crazy with Bolo Young because like he got his popularity from Enter the Dragon probably, or I don't know if before that, but Bloodsport's one I remember him from.
Yeah, he had just done Bloodsport after I think the first movie, and I have some funny trivia afterwards. But he did not come back. He did Bloodsport, and he was like, "I'm not coming back." Like after signing the contract and everything, just didn't show up again. It's like, I have a lot more details on that, but it's hilarious. Bolo Young took no shit. And he could barely speak English, too. And Cynthia Rothrock was like the only supporter of Bolo Young. And Jalal Mahi just wanted him for the, the hype and the, for his name.
The name.
So, it was really disappointing. I mean, and the box art. Look how awesome this shit is. Like, You have the lightning and everything. The lightning is like the shittiest effect I've ever seen. Like,
Oh man.
and I
And
was
I
thinking of it because he's also in Big Trouble in Little China, and they have the same exact story in the third movie, but the effects are so much worse in this one, and it's 10 years after. Because I think
wow.
Big Trouble in Little China was like 1988, 89 maybe, and the third movie is 1999. It's the same exact story as that, and it stars, or it was supposed to star, Bolo Young, and has the same mysticism, everything. Like, I'm getting ahead of myself way too much, but I have a
That
lot to say.
that goes to show you John Carpenter compared to other directors.
Oh yeah, like I respect John Carpenter even more, and I've listened to his commentary on Big Trouble in Little China, and him and Kurt Russell just way better in everything they do in filmmaking than Jalal Mahi. Only him though. Bolo
Well,
Young is great. Cynthia Rothrock is great. But Jalal Mahi, I think he's a hack now. And I feel bad for saying it, but watching his interviews, you really get the impression that he doesn't know, like, anything about what makes a good martial arts movie good. And he even talks about that in one of these interviews. I'll just spoil it, but he talks about at one point how to make a good martial arts film. And he specifically says contact fighting. And I say, you didn't do that. Like, you didn't do that. You cut away before you hit anybody. And Cynthia Rothrock talks about that so openly, about how they didn't do that. Like, so
it was so raw probably in Hong Kong, and then you come to the US,
yeah,
you're like censored on everything.
Jackie Chan
It's
almost got fucking killed, like falling out of a tree. That won't happen in America.
No.
See, I just think of this movie where they're hanging off a helicopter, and Cynthia Rothrock.
The stunts in that film are insane.
They're so
Like,
good.
I was blown away by the stunts.
So what's yours? I want to know. We're 30 minutes in.
I'm gonna go with I'm gonna reveal the box set now first. So I'll go with it's the Weird Wisconsin
Oh,
collection.
Wow. I totally forgot that existed.
Yeah, I had it on the shelf for a while, so finally got to it. I'm just gonna start off by doing the introduction with who is Bill Rebane. There's a documentary disc right there, which I watched earlier. I got some stuff from it. I mean, he's a B movie director. Could call him C movie. It's real low budget, but he's from Latvia. I think that's by, I don't know if it's Germany or Northern Europe around there.
Latvia.
Latvia. That's where he was from, born. And he came to America when he was 15 years old. Latavia, I could have said it wrong. I slaughter names, so. But
oh yeah.
I guess he got to the America at 15, and he didn't know how to speak English. He learned speaking English from going to movie theaters and watching movies, and that's how he started to learn the American language, pretty much. And he just fell in love with movies, and specifically horror films or sci-fi was his favorite films. So he pretty much got here to America, and he applied for WGN, the Chicago channel. That's where he first got. He applied for a job there, and he started in the mailroom and worked his way up to the executive producer of WGN.
Well, so hey, he's a hard worker.
Yeah, there's
can't fault
no
him for
denying that. But anyways, he as he got that executive producer job, he started to really want to get into filming. So he found a friend in the business, and I'm sure everyone knows him. Herschel Gordon Lewis became his friend.
Love
and
him.
I guess they started speaking, talking. He wanted to work on films, and he hit it pretty good. They said he was a millionaire at 22 years old, but then he had so many fees that he had to go pretty much bankrupt and start from fresh.
Oh my god!
He lost all that money, so it's like he started a film which wasn't very successful, and then he went on to film another film which he ran out of money. He had to sell the film, so Herschel Gordon Lewis bought it from him and I guess redid it. So, and it's called it's on this one I'm going to talk about. It's the first film actually, A Go Go,
Oh,
and
I
it's
think I've seen that one. That's the stripper one,
have you seen
right?
that one?
Or the models.
It's a sci-fi film, sci-fi horror film,
Okay, I don't think I've seen
and
it
it's
then.
I think 1965. But yeah, but this is where he got to Wisconsin and he started his film company, and he had his wife working with him. She wrote some films, and then he had a they ran a motel together, a hotel. I guess that was their side job to start. They ran a hotel. He had his film company right next to it around the location where he'd go work on films on his extra time. So he pretty much, it's sad because the sad story about this is he ran out of money. He had to sell his films. So I guess like this film I'm gonna get into is gonna be Monster Go Go, the one we're talking about in 1965.
Did you look at the
And
letterbox rating? I'm looking at it now.
it's so bad.
It's 1.2. That's so bad. And it's 300 reviews, like 300 people.
And you know what killed me more is um the comments, the reviews on the comments. They're so mean. It's
Oh my
bad,
god.
dude. Like I felt bad, kind of in
And
a
they're
way.
long reviews too. I'm going through it, just
Yeah,
skimming. Oh my god. I think that's next on the Herschel Gordon Lewis
like
set
I'm
that
saying,
I
these
have.
are B movie to C movie. They go so low to be C low budget. Like,
Oh my god.
I mean, there's scenes in these films where you could hear the camera rolling and you can't hear them talking. It's that bad. But I'm gonna get into the plot of this film. It's okay. So we got a space capsule crash lands on Earth, and two astronauts aboard. One's dead and one goes missing. So that's how this film starts. And pretty much they're trying to search for it. You got a doctor and a detective trying to find out where this guy that disappeared, the astronaut. They can't find him. So now they start to get reports that he's walking around with pretty much with his face like mutilated, and he's radioactive. So they can't get near him, and he's walking through this town, pretty much picking off people one by one. There's some kills, but they don't really show them. They're like off camera. You see like a few strangles and stuff like that, but it's real. Like I said, C movie, low budget,
What a shame.
which was getting to me. Yeah, but I like the look of the killer because it's a real actor, and he was 7'6". Man, they have pictures of him where they had to drive him like in a special car to the set because he was
Oh,
so
wow.
big, and they had to like redo the whole seat so he'd fit in the car because he's a giant man. Man, there's pictures of him standing. He just looks like a like a giant pretty much, and
Oh, wow.
they said he had the look. So he's the guy roaming around, killing, which I liked. But other than that, this movie is bad, dude. I'm just gonna say they put it on Mystery Science Theater. It's one of their worst films ever on the show, and it's funny because I guess they ran out of like I said, Herschel Gordon Lewis took over. He had to narrate half the film because there's a narrator
I
talking, and I
hate
guess
narrating.
it's throughout this film. I mean, it's annoying, and yeah, this let's see. There's a phone ringing throughout the film, and you can tell it's just someone making a sound effect with the phone. They're just like doing a ring out of their mouth.
Dooling,
Yeah,
dooling.
it's so obvious. Like it's so
God.
obvious. And I'm gonna say this throughout these films are ambitious, but the execution, man, is just it's so bad.
Is
Like I
that the
was
one with something tornado? Or what's it
Yeah,
called?
there's a comedy called I think a comedy
It's something tornado. But
Twister's Revenge.
Trista's Revenge, yeah. That
Yeah,
that
yeah.
one's Red Letter Media covered that, and I couldn't even watch the episode. It looks so bad. I don't know if you
Like I'm
covered
saying,
it,
L.
but
We got L. I didn't cover that one, so
I've heard that
we-
one's awful. I couldn't even watch the Red Letter Media episode on it.
the L. I go to L. Adamson has one of the worst, but at least he had some entertainment. This one just drags, and then the ending is just so disappointing because you have like the guy walking just through a sewer. And he had his makeup's all completely off. He looks like a completely normal person walking through there, and there's no action. It just shows him walking off into the loom, and it finishes. I'm like,
Oh my god.
ah, it's rough. This film is rough, and There's times I was dozing off and watching it as well. It's so boring.
Oh my god. See, I didn't fall
But
asleep during any of mine. I thought I would, but I didn't, shockingly.
I like the concept. Like there it has a strong sci-fi story, but then the execution is just poor. Like you don't get nothing out of it. You just like, okay, repetitive. It's happening again. But and it's just, oh man, but I got to give him credit for trying, I guess. The guy
Did he
went through
try?
a lot. I don't know. I guess he did what he could with what he had, cuz he ran out of money halfway through this film and had to sell it. So it's just
Sold it to his friend.
yeah, and he couldn't even save it. So it's just like, yeah, it's a terrible film. I can't recommend this. I gave it a 1 out of 5, man. 1 out of 5.
I think that's the first time I've heard you give a movie a 1.
I like bad movies. I like to not be so harsh on films. But
See,
man,
I'm
this one
harsh.
just,
Like, I never give
yeah.
ones, except for that really awful one you sent me. Whatever that fucking movie was.
The Torment. You
Yeah,
talked about
Torment. That's the
Yeah.
only 1 star I've ever given on Letterboxd.
I think this is my first. This is my first 1 star. I think,
Oh my god.
and I'll give a 1.5 or 2 out of 5 film a 3 just because I don't know. I like bad movies sometimes, but this one just, man, this one is. It was shit, dude. I'm just gonna keep it like that, man.
Oh my
It just
god.
sucked. It's one of the most boring movies I've seen in a long time. And I'm trying to be positive, but
The movie I got
yeah,
it
that
confused with by Herschel Gordon Lewis was called Scum of the Earth, which is actually 2 years before this movie, the one you did. So
oh, okay.
by Herschel Gordon Lewis.
I guess let's see. His most successful film was the giant spider invasion. It's not on this box set,
Never
but they
heard
said
of
that
it.
that that grossed $23 million. So
And I'm sure it was a later career movie, so he didn't
yeah,
need the money anymore.
1975. So
10
it
years
was
after.
later. Yeah, but yeah, I don't have too much else to say on this film. That it was bad, so bad. I know. Mystery Science Theater gave it put it as their worst film, and they have some bad stuff on that show.
Yeah, they had there was a comment on Letterboxd that when I was scrolling through, someone was like, "Yeah, this is the only movie that broke Joel like ever." Like I think they gave up like watching it. That's how bad it was. And they watched trash. Like
And
I've
I'll
seen
just
some of the movies they've covered and I couldn't even finish them.
I was reading the reviews and I was like, dang, man, I've never seen someone get slaughtered so bad in the comments. I was
Well,
like, oh, they're not lying.
well, my second movie is of course Tiger Claws 2. It's 1, 2, and 3. I don't have any like variety like you do at least. Although I'm sure they're all trash anyways, just like mine.
Yeah.
But they changed directors this time to Stephen Mondo, who wrote the first 11 films by Jalal Mohi that he produced, which cool, I guess. I don't know why they stayed together, but they did. And I only have like 3 sentences here. I said that it starts with a really cool explosion. There's a part past the halfway point where they are chasing after each other, and they're in like a Scooby-Doo set, where it's like, you know, cobblestone walls and it's like water trickling down. Like, it's a cool set. And they're just chasing after each other. Cynthia Rothrock, Jalal Mohi, Bolo Young's replacement that I'll tell more about. It's shocking what happened behind the scenes. And I said it's like a Scooby-Doo episode, but it's really fucking boring with the most repetitive music. And the plot of the movie is basically Mortal Kombat, where they get invited to a mystical fighting tournament, and they show up and they just fight each other. Well, the most boring music plays was like, except it's like really bad, like very slow. It's like, Like, it's really fucking weird.
Oh man.
And that's it. And every now and then you'll get like a strum on the guitar, and it's like really awful. I said it was
It's like a,
basically Mortal Kombat, but awful. Like,
it's like when you're at a rave and the E kicks in pretty much.
yeah,
Slow motion.
basically. But I have a lot more to say on the behind the scenes. That's all I have for the movie. This movie sucked even more. I didn't like it.
Wow.
It was just boring. It actually wasn't like offensively bad. Where I was like, "What are they doing with Cynthia Rothrock?" Like, I knew going in they probably weren't gonna use Cynthia Rothrock, and they used her even less in this movie. And I said, I didn't say Jalal Merhi in the documentary. Each documentary was about 20 minutes to 25 minutes, and they're all split up. I don't know why. They talk about all three films throughout all three documentaries. I say they should have just squished them all together into an hour-long documentary because they don't talk about like 1 and then 2 and then 3. They talk about 1, 2, and 3 all at the same time, and then Vinegar Syndrome, I think, re-edited it. So like they're mostly talking about the first movie, then the second, and but I don't blame Vinegar Syndrome for it. I'm sure there was something behind the scenes. I give them a lot of praise, but Jalal Merhi says it took 5 years to make this movie, and I don't know how. Oh, I know how. This is the next sentence. Apparently, Bolo Young, star fighter in the fucking world, been in many classic films. He basically blackmailed Jalal Merhi and said, "I want all my money now because like I made a lot of money in the first movie and it was awful, and you guys didn't let us fight. So in the second movie, you're giving my money up front," and he'd already signed the contract. And Jalal Merhi was talking about the contract details of when the pay was going to happen. And apparently, and I know nothing about contracts and all that in movies, apparently every actor got 25% of the total pay, like up front. And then they get the final 75% of the pay after the movie's done. Bolo Young showed up on set and was like, saw the stars align and was like, yeah, this movie's going to be fucking awful. I want my money now, and then I'm going to leave. So what he did is he tried to leave the country because he went up to Cynthia Rothrock after the first day of the filming, because this all happened within only 5% of the movie being made, according to Cynthia Rothrock. And she was full open, like, honest about what was happening. And said, like, Bolo Young was just really angry about working with Jalal Merhi because they both have pretty heavy accents, and Bolo just can barely speak English because he's a Hong Kong actor. Like, he was flew in from China to be in this movie. And he was like, no, I want my money up front, and told Cynthia Rothrock, like, I don't want to do this. Like, these movies suck. Bolo Young was not playing around. And so Cynthia Rothrock was like, okay, like, I'll go talk to Jalal Merhi. You know, Cynthia Rothrock is an angel. And talked to him, and Jalal Merhi was like, yeah, you know, I'll bring the money in on Monday, you know, whatever. Like, really weird that he would do this to me. But, you know, I like Bolo a lot. And he showed up on Monday. Nobody could find Bolo. And they called his hotel. And apparently he had checked out over the weekend without telling anybody and was boarding a plane. And so Jalal Merhi contacted his lawyer and was like, can you stop the plane from taking off? Because he already has, like, his signature on the contract. He has to do this movie. And the lawyer was like, do we really want to do that? Like, we could just keep the money. Like, you know, whatever. And Jalal Merhi was like, okay, like, whatever. And so instead of, like, stopping the plane and, like, making him do the movie and then, like, really pay him more or give him a percentage of the sales, which would really give him even more money, instead he just calls him, like, every other week, like, at his, like, personal home or something, because he had that info. And Bolo never picked up.
Oh.
He never picked up the phone. And Jalal Merhi, like, sadly looks off in the distance during this interview, and he's like, yeah, I still haven't heard from him.
Oh, wow.
It's like 40 years later. Like, no, 30 years, because 1995. Almost 30 years. And it was just shocking. Bolo Young did not give a shit during this movie. And I'll read the synopsis later, but it's basically Mortal Kombat. Jalal said that he puts all the blame on all of that on the translator who was working kind of in between Bolo and him. And he said the translator felt like he could be a better director than Jalal Murray, and Jalal Murray's not the director of this movie. It is the writer of the film. I don't know why he thought that this guy was better than himself, but I don't know.
Yeah. Huh.
I don't know why he thinks the translator was jealous that he was director, even though he wasn't the director. Jalal Murray was just the producer. He raised the money for it and acted in the movie. And I don't know. But as I said, the writer had wrote the first 11 movies of Jalal's, and including TC-2000, Expect No Mercy, and Talons of the Eagle. I'll read the synopsis because
All right.
I need to stay to my rules. Now a detective in San Francisco, Linda Masterson, played by Cynthia Rothrock, if you forgot, is surprised to discover a new victim with the tiger claws markings on his body. After contacting her old partner in New York City, Tarek Richards, played by Jalal Murray, the hack producer, who got blackmailed by fucking Bolo Young. Masterson soon learns that the killer they put away had escaped, and more bodies have been turning up with similar markings. Richards and Masterson must team up again to stop these killings, but soon find themselves as part of an ancient underground martial arts tournament with mystical roots. They only used like a minute of footage with Bolo Young, and that was when he was in the prison. And then he was part of a ice cream truck robbery in the movie, when this is one of the action scenes, and he disappears, and he's replaced by a guy who looks very similar to him, except it's a black guy who's top of his game and the martial arts style that's like just close enough to Bolo Young's style that he uses. And they're just like, yeah, that's basically Bolo's character. And he talks about it when they're running around in the Scooby-Doo castle. It's him chasing after them. And Cynthia Rothrock was like, I was really looking forward to doing this scene with Bolo. Like, I'm so, like, disappointed he, like, left the country to, like, not be in this movie. Like, after signing the contract, like, a legal contract. Like, and Jalal Murray was like, I still have those contracts. Like, I can get them. And I was like, this is 30 years later. Bolo Young is in retirement. Like, don't fuck with him. He was in Bruce Lee movies. Jalal Murray, you are in nothing. Don't mess with Bolo.
There's no comparison.
You try to make Big Trouble in Little China for your third movie. Like, you're nowhere near John Carpenter. Don't think of yourself too high. But, oh my god.
He flew the fucking country, dude.
He went back to China just in the middle of the weekend without telling anyone. Like, it was shocking. I was laughing my head off during that. Because Jalal Murray is just sitting there, you know, doing the interview. And he's like, I haven't told anybody this, but he just unloads. And it's like, that fucking translator. And Cynthia Rothrock is like, no, the translator was a very nice man.
She's just trying to keep it positive.
Yeah, like, she was really cool. Like, she was straight open with all her disappointments filming.
It's like, it's more of a therapy than an interview for Murphy.
It's an intervention for him. I need to watch his I need to watch his interviews for these VSA titles, because oh my god, what else has he been hiding? Like, because he was it seemed like he was blackmailing, or at least lying to investors about the first movie. Like, that's what it seemed like. I didn't write it down because I was unsure, but it seemed like what he was saying. He was like, yeah, you know, I gave them an incomplete script, you know, and they gave me, you know, $1 million or whatever, which paid for TC-2000. He used it for that instead. And then TC-2000 was super famous, his best movie in my opinion. And so he used the profits from that movie for that movie. So I can go on all day, but I don't want to. Your turn.
And I have those films on the shelf, man. I haven't seen them yet. Well, I've seen TC 2000, but
Oh, those
that's
are,
the other one.
yeah. Expect No Mercy is a lot of fun. That was the movie I saw after the second movie because I needed a palate cleanser from the trash, and that was the one that Laurie Holden is in from Walking Dead. Andrea,
Nice.
I think her character name is, and it's awesome. Like Billy Blanks is in it. Billy Blanks is one of the best people in a Jalal Murray film. Like I love Cynthia Rothrock, but she's unused like in Jalal Murray films. But Billy Blanks, Jalal Murray must love him like so much because he's like
He's
Billy
awesome.
Blanks, do whatever the fuck you want, and he beats people up. Billy Blanks, and also
He's
there's a
got them.
VR connection in this movie.
He's got some great martial arts skills too, Billy Blanks, man.
He was the #1 kickboxer in America.
Mhm.
I looked it up and I was like, aha, that's how he got involved.
Yeah, I remember him from Taibo, where he used to host it on the
Oh,
commercials.
yeah. I saw
He was like the
that.
instructor. Yeah.
Because I was talking about Expect No Mercy at work, and people were like, oh, yeah, send the GIF, because on Microsoft Teams, which is what we use to text each other during work, to, like, you know, because we don't want to fill up our email inboxes. I was like, yeah, I saw this really weird and pretty bad, cheesy movie called Expect No Mercy. And I typed in Billy Blanks on the GIF search, and it was just the commercials of him. And I was like, no, get that shit out of here. It's like, show me the movies. And I had to go on Google Images and look up GIFs from there.
Yeah, he's legendary from those commercials back in the day. So shall I get in my second film here?
Go for it.
All right. I don't know if I want to, but so we're gonna go back with some Bill Rebane here.
Yeah. We both just had trash this episode.
Oh, it's bad, man. Demons of Ludlow. Ludlow or Ludlow? I don't know how to say it,
I
but
think it
there's
is
a cover.
Ludlow, yeah.
Yeah, Ludlow.
Cool cover.
1983, so this is 80s.
Ooh.
Okay, I'll get into the synopsis of this film. It's a town about to celebrate its anniversary, or I guess years later, of its existence. I don't know what to call it, but
Oh, like a centennial, I think they call it. I don't know.
yeah. But anyways, it has a horrible past that it's haunted by. So I guess a family is murdered in a brutal way, and they're haunting around the area, and somehow a piano shows up that has a demon in it.
Oh, it's like House.
And it, yeah. So
the piano that eats a person.
It's brought in by auction and stays at this like town center, convention center, where all the town gets together to, you know, do events. Or it's a small town. But anyways, this strange events start to happen, and you got pretty much. I say he's a preacher. I don't know if he is, but he's married to this really hot girl that's an alcoholic. And she's
say no more.
she's constantly drinking, like, and
that was actually the actress. I don't know if you read the commentary track, but that was the actress just drinking. I have no idea. I'm making shit up, but because the movie's so bad, she was just drinking on the job.
She's a really attractive woman. And then you got this team of reporters that are investigating supernatural events in here that happened in the past. So you pretty much got a demon picking him off. The kills aren't bad in this one. I got to give you credit for the kills, because I love head decapitations, and there's a good one in this one.
Ooh.
But I guess the demon wants revenge for what happened in the past, and I guess he lost his hands. They were cut off during that time because it's way in the back.
Is it a piano that is inhabited by a ghost, or a piano that is sentient?
I have no fucking clue, dude. Because
the way you described it from the synopsis, it sounded like a haunted piano, and I was like, oh shit. Like,
there's a demon inside the piano. I don't know.
I guess it was whoever was playing it. I don't know.
This guy who got his hands cut off, and he like wants revenge.
Is it like Chucky? Like a ghost just happened to find like the vessel? Like it's just a oh my god.
It doesn't explain it. just the piano shows up and there's a demon in it, and it's floating around and killing people. Well, it's a demon hand that comes out, and it's really bad CGI.
Ooh.
Oh, it's so horrible. It's like dated. It's like really bad, but
It's stop motion.
yeah,
It's like
it's so bad.
it's like a Ray Harryhausen movie, but awful.
But
Oh my
awful.
god.
Yeah. But anyways, I guess it goes. How could I say it? It wants revenge for what happened, so it's picking these people off, and it's sending these like, I guess his family that had a real bad history. They come back as supposedly demons
Hmm.
and other souls that were killed, people that were killed violently come back, and then it's funny because they're supposed to be like from old days, but they look like pirates. So I don't know what.
And it's
They're
in
dressed
like
like
Nebraska, nowhere near the ocean.
And they're sword fighting just throughout. They're like fencing through the whole film.
Why not?
Why not? Yeah,
It's like the fog.
yeah. It's like the fog with bad makeup effects. Cause like,
And
what are
those effects were not good. They just
And it-
threw a bunch of fog, like in the fog, to
but at least
cover
the
it up.
pirates look cool.
Yeah,
I mean,
they
these
had the
ones are-
eyes. Like it looks
These
pretty
ones are
good.
like they just had mustaches curled up. And
Oh my god! One of
white
them is
faces
Vincent Price.
painted white. Yeah, it's probably like a low budget Vincent Price. Like
And his movie's already low budget, so.
they probably called like a porn star to imitate Vincent Price just with a mustache.
Oh god.
But it's just so bad. And then they have like these ghosts that are supposedly demons, but they just look like ghosts with their face painted white, like you paint for Halloween your kid. It's like white paint like that.
Oh my god.
But
The $5 bottle.
yeah,
you
it's
can
pretty
get.
bad. Like I say again, it has ambition, but it just doesn't deliver. It's like boring. It's just nothing's happening, despite the kills. There's an actress who played Emily. She's one of the characters in here. Her name was Patricia Stats, and she died on 9/11 on the Pentagon in real life. She was at the Pentagon during
Ooh.
9/11. So that's pretty
Spooky.
interesting.
More interesting
Yeah.
than the movie.
Yeah, that's the most interesting thing about this film. But
Great movies for covering.
I even have on here in my notes. They come back as ghosts, but they look like pirates, and I put "what the fuck" like with question marks all through my notes.
Oh, I have a big all caps sentence here. I can't wait.
But I can't wait to see it. This is just so bad.
Oh my god.
Like I have nothing more to say about it. And people said this is the most watchable film out of the box set. So
Oh
I'm
my
like,
God.
really?
I'm happy I haven't bought the set then. Maybe I'll trade it. I don't know. Trade for it.
It's bad. And I'm gonna give it a 2 out of 5.
Oh, hey.
It's an improvement from the first
that's
film.
more.
But... and that's for the kills, because there was, head decapitation, which I love. You see a head rolling around.
So you got
It's a
about
pirate.
15 seconds of joy
Yeah.
out of an hour and a half film.
But other than that, it's just so damn boring, dude. All you hear is screaming, talking, dialogue with nothing happening, just doors opening and closing, and
You see the
A floating
fishing line
piano.
of people closing the door.
it's so bad, dude. That's pretty much all I gotta say on Demons of Ludlow,
Ludlow?
1983. Ludlow. Yeah, I can't recommend it.
Why?
But man, I wish I had something positive to say. What I can say is the films are improving as I'm reading them. So
That's just.
they're going up. They're going like from here to here. So
I just imagine it's like a Stockholm syndrome. It's like, oh, I'm not actually a hostage. Like,
I felt like one, man. I felt like I was kidnapped and robbed after watching this.
and Clockwork Orange, where the eyes are like wide open.
That's what I had to do to watch these films. Pretty much.
Oh my god. Well, I'll jump into my third one, which is probably the most entertaining of my reviews. Not the most entertaining
Alright.
of the set. The first one's the most entertaining. But I'll just read the
All
synopsis
right.
now that I'm actually thinking about it. When the spirits of three ancient martial arts masters are resurrected by a criminal named Stryker, it's up to detectives Tarek Richards and Linda Masterson to stop them. But when Masterson is quickly put out of commission, keep that in your mind, Richards must team up with Stryker's former teacher, Master Jin, played by Carter Wong. He was awesome. Under the tutelage of Master Jin, Richards must unlock a secret ability that lives inside of him if he wants to defeat Stryker and his crew of mystical assassins. Holy shit, that sounds way cooler than what it was.
Yeah, it does.
I'm trying to put it back in because I'm done reading from it. Oh, and also, just to put salt on the wound, it's a bottom feeder, so it gets caught in the top.
I hate those.
All of them, actually. All three of them. Yeah, I kind of hate it.
VSAs. Damn you.
My champagne and bolus is all fucked up because of it. But, so I'm going to just read it from beginning to end. It's not long. I say, so far, not bad! Exclamation point, smiley face. Starts right off with mysticism. They do not waste any time putting in lightning bolts and ghosts and this and the other. All caps. Never mind, fuck this movie so hard. They killed Cynthia Rothrock in the first 5 minutes.
Oh, no.
That's what I was telling you about. I was like, yeah, I'm liking this movie. It's fun. And then they kill her off in the first 5 minutes. And I was like, what the fuck? And that's what they say in the description. He's put out of commission.
Yeah, I got that.
And at one point, and then I wrote, I think I just saw Andrew Lincoln.
Did she bail the country too?
I will explain it. But it's not as nefarious, but it's still like out of commission, like out of location. But I said I think I just saw Andrew Lincoln, who, if you don't know, played Rick on Walking Dead. I swear I saw him. I did not care, and I looked up all over IMDb and Google and everything. Found nothing. Looked in the cast credits when the movie ended as it's going down the screen. I didn't see his name there either. So that was the most exciting part for me.
Rick Grimes, yeah.
Yeah, like I was excited. I was like, oh shit, like early sighting of him. Okay, cool. I said, Jesus, this movie is so lame because it became a shoot in the woods to save money type of film, which is what a lot of horror movies have done, because Predator is probably the only movie to use the woods in an interesting way. But everybody thinks they can make Predator, so they just shoot in the middle of the woods without having to pay permits because it's land. I mean, unless it's privately owned, anybody can walk in woods. And so that's what they did for like half the movie, is that they're in the woods doing stupid shit. And I said, boo! They have a flashback with Rothrock in the middle of the movie, and it's for a sex scene. And Cynthia Rothrock at this point, which I'll explain later, it's really bizarre. And she is obviously uncomfortable doing this. She is in like full clothing, like in bed. And Jalal Murray is like, you know, fully naked outside of like spandex, like underwear. And Cynthia Rothrock is like, her body language is so like uncomfortable. And she's like, she's pregnant, by the way, during this. I was going to save this, but she was pregnant right when the movie started. And I'll go into that a little more because it explains a lot about this movie. I said, holy fuck, the entire movie ended up being a dream. And the last minute of the film is Jalal waking up because they have this epic final battle in the end of the movie where he and somebody is fighting with lightning and this and the other. It looks awful, by the way. And again, Big Trouble in Little China has the exact same story and exact same villain. I mean, and of course I put it on the bottom of the stack, but this guy here with the crazy hair and the lightning looks exactly like the guy in Big Trouble in Little China. The guy that he teams up with, Kurt Russell teams up with. And So he wakes up from this epic battle and he's like, oh, what am I? And Cynthia Rothrock is like, you've been dozing this whole time. What have you been doing? And he just walks up and he's like, he's the bad guy. And he just arrests the main antagonist of the film. And the movie ends in the middle of him handcuffing him. And I said, holy fuck. And I immediately gave it, I think, 1.5 stars. Like, that's how pissed I was about it. Because they killed her in the first 5 minutes and brought her back for a sex scene that she is obviously uncomfortable in. And then they brought her back and made the entire movie a dream. And I was like, this is so fucking bad. Like, I hated this movie. But, on to the trivia that I have learned from the,
All right.
documentary. I said, well, I didn't say it. Jalal Mehi was thought about bringing Bolo Young back for this movie, but the producer, or him, didn't want to even attempt anymore because this movie is 3 years after Tiger Claws 2. And during that whole time, he was calling him like every other week for like 2 or 3 years. And then for the last movie, he was like, I'm done. Like, I'm going to stop trying. And ends up that the script was hugely Cynthia Rothrock driven. What the fuck? It should have been. But Cynthia Rothrock was randomly called one day, had no idea this movie was getting made. And Jalal Mehi was like, hey, like, you want to do the third movie? And she's like, who does third movies and martial arts movies? Because we have Police Story 2. We have... I don't know. Enter the Dragon 2. I don't know what sequel, but there's a lot of sequels in Hong Kong martial arts films.
Yeah.
And she was like, nobody does a third movie like at all. Like, just call it something else and do a sequel for that. Like, you can keep going forever because they use the same cast for a lot of Hong Kong martial arts movies because they get the best of the best. That's how they hire people. I talked about it in Righting Wrongs, the episode I did for that, but she got called by Jalal Mehi like weeks before they were going to do the movie. And he's like, hey, let's do the movie. And she's like, Jalal, like, I'm pregnant. Like, I just learned I'm pregnant. Like, I can't do any action at all. And he's like, oh, yeah, we'll shoot around it. It's no problem. And so she showed up on set. And I guess Jalal Mehi had no experience with pregnant women because she had morning sickness the entire shooting. And she said she'll never forget it because she had to throw up every 30 minutes while shooting for this movie. And you can tell in some scenes that she looks sick. And she should not have been in this movie. And she tells a pretty emotional story during this documentary because she was worried about the action scenes because she had a miscarriage the year before. And so her doctor was like on top of her like constantly, like, you gotta, be, safe.
Chill out.
Like, you need to be healthy, like, just focus on the baby. And so when Jalal Mehi called up, she was like, I can't do this. Like, I can't do the action, this, that, and the other. And so what he did is that she was like, okay, like, we won't have you do the action, we'll shoot around it. And she showed up. And they were throwing stuff at her, having her fight with bow staffs and like this, that, and the other. And she was like, she said the moment she went on set, like something clicked in her head where she wanted to do everything anyways. And so it was like this double sort of effect of like, oh my gosh, so many things could have gone wrong. And she said she was like so stupid back then because there was so many opportunities that she could have had another miscarriage. And she probably wouldn't have been able to get pregnant after that because she would just be so scarred and, her body just wouldn't be able to do it anymore. She would probably die. But what's really bizarre is that after that awesome story she tells was like really emotional and personal and intimate, the producer then goes on, he's like, yeah, this movie's pretty good if you catch it on TV and you've never even heard of the first and second movie. That's how you should watch it. And I'm sitting here like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean? Like, you shouldn't watch this movie unless you see it randomly on, like, I don't know, TNT, whatever.
Yeah.
TV station shows martial arts films, and you never heard of the first and second movie. Like if you find the third movie like on TV, you probably have at least heard of Cynthia Rothrock, maybe Bolo Young, maybe they mention him, but uh,
Makes no
after
sense.
yeah, and I just wrote down what the fuck after he said that. I was like, did he really just say there's no way to enjoy this movie unless you know nothing about it and you're watching on a lazy Sunday afternoon? Like what the fuck? And I already told this story, but this is the documentary where she talks about how when she was little, she watched a lot of Bruce Lee movies and Jackie Chan movies and wanted to be the best martial artist in the world. And she did it. So big, major props to her. I love her. She's awesome. And I don't know what Jalal Murray is trying to accomplish here, but he says, hey guys, I have a little tease for you. The script for movie 4 is written, and all we have to do is find a younger crew to replace him and Cynthia Rothrock. And I said, you don't really need to replace Cynthia Rothrock. She's still a badass. And this release came out last year. They filmed the interviews last year, so she hasn't changed much. I follow her on Instagram, and she is still a badass. Still doing competitions. Still undefeated. No one is better than her. But I snidely said she's still a badass today, so hopefully they don't kill her off in the beginning because of old age or some bullshit. So I didn't like this movie at all. I think I changed it to a 2 after I got the explanation that she was pregnant, just couldn't do like a lot of the movie. Because she showed up for the first fight scene in the movie, and then she's killed. And then at the end of the movie, she's like, actually, the bullet missed me. And there's the bad guy over there. Arrest him. Okay, credits.
Wow.
Yeah, I was unhappy watching this movie. I think I was texting you while watching it, and I was like, fuck this movie. Fuck it.
Yeah.
And I was like so pissed. And I couldn't talk
like,
about it. I had to wait.
I was like, wow.
I was like, they killed off Cynthia Rothrock in the first 5 minutes. I can't believe it. And
At least
also,
on Right and Wrong, it's dark, but it has a reason for it.
That ending is shocking. Like,
yeah.
Her interview on that release, by the way, is awesome.
I saw part of it, but I haven't finished it.
Also, the essays in it is, I don't know. Just watch my episode. I keep wanting to just talk about that movie because I love it. But
so good.
Unlike this trilogy, oh my god. The second one I think is the worst one, just because it's so boring. The first one is bad in that it was the first movie, so I had high expectations. I was like, yeah, I like Jalal Murray films. I like Cynthia Rothrock. I just finished the Righting Wrongs this week on Monday, and then on Tuesday I started watching these movies. And I finished the third one last night and watched the documentary, and I was just like, oh my god. Like, the first one is just, like, shockingly bad. Probably because you have high expectations. Maybe you'll like them more than me, because I've warned you at this point and have talked shit about it. But I think the third one's the most frustrating. I mean, you have them, you might as well. Cynthia Rothrock. Be a completionist. I'm only keeping them for the Jalal Murray and Cynthia Rothrock connection, so.
Yeah.
That's the only reason I'm keeping it.
And they're releasing a lot of the films from them, like those B-movie kung fu films that you'd see like late night, not many people know about. So yeah.
Hey, maybe you saw Tiger Claws 3 and loved it, just like the director or producer said to do. Maybe. It's the only way to watch it, according to him. He has no faith in this movie. Of course. Fuck. And then he dropped
Cynthia Rothrock dies in it, and for what reason, huh? Who cares?
Nothing. I mean,
that's how he's thinking.
Yeah. And the thing that there was something I was gonna say. Oh, and the fact that he's like teasing a fourth movie, like nobody wants it. Like, and he was like, "Oh, hey guys,"
he's forcing it on him.
Yeah, like
he's still looking for Bolo Young.
He's still looking. Still like Bolo Young just like sees Jalal Murray walking up to his doorstep. He just closed the blinds. Breaks a window so it looks like it's abandoned and like annexed. But like, Yeah, like at the end of the interview, like as the Vinegar Syndrome guys are like, hey, like, thank you for joining us, this that, and the other, like, thank you so much. He's like, hey guys, I got a little inside scoop, a little tease for you. I got the fourth movie ready, and it's like, shut up. It's like, fuck
Like, who
off.
fucking cares?
Who gives a shit? I hated this
Hilarious.
trilogy.
Like if it was a big old franchise. Yeah, we're getting a fourth one going.
Yeah,
Get excited.
we're gonna be like that awesome what is it, Jet Li series, Once Upon a Time in China. Yeah, we're as good as them. No, Once Upon a Time in China is in the Criterion Collection for a fucking reason, because those movies are awesome. Like Jalal May, you do not deserve to be in the Criterion Collection at all. You are a hack.
It's like, it's like, yeah, we're right there with It Man.
Oh.
We got another fourth one coming out.
Oh, have you seen the fourth one? Oh my god.
No, I haven't.
It's down there with these. I almost said up there, but no, it's down in hell. Down in the Circle of Filth, if you've seen Salo, which is all about it's a just to talk about Salo. I love Salo. The entire story is that it's supposed to be like the different circles of hell, and each circle there's like a circle of, I think, blood, a circle of like semen or something like that, and there's a circle of shit. These movies and It Man 4 are in the circle of shit. It's like
I like the first two, but once they brought Mike Tyson into it, I was like, oh no.
Hey, I like the third one on the wife angle. I really like the wife plot line where she has cancer and all that. That was awesome. The fights suck in the movie. Yeah, agreed. But like, I really like that story arc of like him having to do these stupid fights that he doesn't want to do so he can raise money for chemotherapy for his wife. I love that angle, but everything else.
Hard.
Yeah.
Once I saw Mike Tyson on it, I was like, oh no, man. Is he going to bite a ear off during the movie?
Hey, that might make the movie better. And he actually does it to Donnie Yen. Donnie Yen is just like,
yeah. I'm like, yeah, some gore.
I wish I had alcohol to process these fucking films.
I actually wish I had it during the films. Oh man, watching those sober.
My sobriety was suffering while watching these films. I was tempted to turn back to the devil's juice.
The devil's juice, man. Still haven't stopped, but I need to eventually, I guess. I don't know.
Not when you're watching these shit films.
No. I need that mind stimulation during this, or whatever you call it.
Hey, maybe you'll get a really good nap out of them. That's how it was for one of the Vinegar Syndrome movies I watched recently. I had a really good nap while watching it. It made me feel really good after it.
When I was watching Tough Guys Don't Dance, I was snoring. I think even drool was coming out of my mouth.
That's how you know it's a really bad film, and you get a really great nap out of it.
Wings Hauser couldn't even save it.
Hey, he's great in Champagne and Bullets.
Oh, I loved him in that one. Shall I go to this third movie?
Sure, if you want.
Right. I don't want to, but I kind of want to get it over with.
It's your prerogative.
So, I don't know. This is the one I texted you and said that I was like, wanted to pull my own eyes out.
Oh my god.
Watching this. But it's The Game.
With Kirk Douglas's son, Michael Douglas.
I wish. So this is from 1984, and this is, I guess I'd say it's a horror film for sure.
Were you horrified by how bad it was?
Bad. Man, this was bad too. But it's probably the one that I enjoyed the most, if I could say that. But let me get into the synopsis of this. This is about 3 bored millionaires They gather 9 people from the streets randomly to go to an old mansion and give him a proposition. If you
Ooh.
survive the night, you will receive $1 million.
Oh god.
So,
So many
so all of
movies
them
with
are
that plot.
yes. That's exactly what I was thinking. Once I heard that.
God. That's like half of the Vinegar Syndrome releases.
I was like, oh my god.
I should have let you
But
have Vinegar Syndrome. Fuck. And I could have done Arrow.
I think we should have switched it in reverse because
we can do that for
we
part
both
2
went
of
the
this.
shitstone. Okay. I kept thinking in my mind, why am I not on Vinegar Syndrome when I was watching
I kept
these
thinking
films?
I need to be on Criterion. Like I have quite a number of box sets I still have. Yeah, I am a fucking Tiger Claws.
I'm with Bill Rebane C movies. But anyways, they have to conquer their own fears to survive this night and receive $1 million in cash. And one of the dinky girls goes, "Do I get $1 million too?" And they're like, the villager's like, "It's only for the survivor, okay?"
You're not surviving.
Yeah, this is dinky. She's like, "Oh, I wanted $1 million." So you ran away to where this movie's headed.
Yeah, God.
Anyways, they're supposed to survive their biggest fears, which it does not explain. But we have spiders and snakes in this film, but it doesn't ever say if anyone's scared of them.
Oh, they're just there.
So I don't know what. I assume that's their fear.
It reminds me of
Anyways,
how it preys on your fears. Like they could have done something with that. I guess.
Yeah.
I guess that'd be too much.
Or at least have them have a flashback of something that happened to them where they're scared. But no, we have girls walking in lingerie, teasing guys this whole film, which wasn't bad. But anyways, you got these 2 guys that are at odds. They're jealous of each other, obviously. They want to both be the main tough guy. So they're getting pranked on by these millionaires, and they know they're a threat as one of their friends has died. Minor spoiler alert. But
oh god, the movie's ruined for me.
Instead of saying let's work together and try to survive, they start fighting each other and trying to take the gun away and be the tougher guy. So they're battling each other.
Oh.
They have one of the villains in sight to take him out. I mean, kill him. Instead, they go chasing each other through the house to kill each other.
I'm sure the villain was like just looking around, like what the fuck.
He's looking like they're doing my job for me. So. But anyways,
why not? Hey, maybe the monster wins $1 million.
My complaint in this film is stupid decisions. There's so many bad decisions in this film where I'm like, oh my god. And there's a girl that's supposed to get killed by a snake in a swimming pool, and for some reason she can't wake up, and her soul starts to wander and go swimming inside the swimming pool.
What the fuck?
So then the snake wraps around her neck, and I'm like, oh, just kill her.
What? Not a snake bite? Like
yeah. And she wakes up screaming. So I was like, this didn't actually happen. It's just so weird. Like, and then we got a girl that's tied up, and you got these millionaires messing with her. Yeah. And they're like, okay, we're going to play Russian roulette. They put a bullet in the gun. And they're all like, it's got 5 shots. You better hope that 6 shots in the barrel and it doesn't hit you or whatever. And so they're shooting it on her head. She's terrified. So 5 shots go off and no bullet goes off. So it's like, okay, you survived. And then all of a sudden, they're leaving the room and you hear a gunshot. She killed herself, dude.
What?
Being so terrified, dude. So they're like, oh my god, it was supposed to be a prank.
It's just a prank, bro. Camera's over there. Social experiment.
Go running. There are these elderly people that can barely run through the hallways.
Oh my god, that sounds awful.
I was just like nodding my head, and this is the only kill in the movie.
Oh
only kill.
I mean, technically, the snake strangling a woman. Ouch. Fuck.
But it wasn't her. It was her soul wandering.
Is she
so she wakes up. I don't know. But anyways, we lead up to everything, and the ending, they're all alive, just talking, nothing happened. They're laughing, and they're like, "Let's go back to where we were at." And then this guy like drives up, like the butler or whatever of them. You don't want to go back there because I guess they got murdered or something by a spirit or the millionaires, and they're like, "Oh, we'll go," and then it's laughing. It ends.
It
I'm
just
like,
ends.
"Oh my fuck!" It just ends right there, dude. Like, oh my god, dude.
Hey man, you gotta watch the sequel.
Oh my.
Sequel bait.
I fucking hope not. But anyways, this I read that this resort they're at was torn down in 1995 as demolition where they filmed the film at. So it's pretty interesting. I have nothing more to say. I'm just like stupid decisions. Why the fuck I put my notes. And other than that, I gotta say the girls were really attractive. I like some of their scenes in this. That was probably the positive out of this film. But
Sexy babes.
man, this was a I gotta say this was a chore to get through if I could put it like that. Because man,
it was a slog for me. Oh my god.
When I text you that I wanted to pull my eyes out, I wasn't joking. Watching this film. But man, I'm gonna give this a 2.5 out of 5.
No way.
And I'm gonna tell you the reason why I give it a 2.5. It has a haunted house setting where there's like Halloween like stuff.
Okay, spooky.
I like that. Got heads floating and stuff like that. That was cool.
This is something.
But other than that,
oh
man,
my god.
Doo doo. Let's go back to Salo. It was doo doo.
Yeah, let's go back to the circle of shit.
Yeah. I got 3 more films to watch out of this box set. I'm gonna tell you, I'm not in no hurry.
I'm just grabbing the list of topics now. I don't know if you want to immediately. Are you done, by the way?
I'm done. I've been done.
Okay. So the next.
I think I crumbled my notes and threw it.
Okay. just burn it.
Burn it.
Do a seance with it, but kind of thing I was thinking about because I think it was while I was watching movie 2, I texted you and I said we need to redo this. So we need to do something different. But I think we should let you choose the next topic and then we'll redo it. I think would be my choice, unless all right. The next time we record, I'm like, actually, fuck that. I don't want to redo it. But I do like the idea. But
I like the idea too. Yeah, but it's just the way the dice were rolled on this one was horrible.
Yeah,
I guess.
You could have watched whatever Trista Revenge, although I've heard that one's bad.
I won't even say the dice. I'm gonna say my selection. I'm shitting on me. That's why I fucking picked the wrong card out of the deck. I should say
3 bad cards out of 6.
Yeah.
But do you have any themes in mind, or do you want me to go through and say them and then you can choose from there?
Have we done apocalyptic films? Is that on the list?
We have done one, but it's back on the list because it's been a while. So.
Oh, just read the list. I'll pick out of there, I guess.
Okay. First one is female-led action, which I just watched like 4 of them this week.
No.
Shitty remakes, which I don't know if I have any, but home invasion, robots, Hammer Horror, Full Moon Pictures. I still don't have any releases. Martial arts. Erotic thrillers. I think you added that like months ago.
Okay.
Arrow, and these are all redos that we've done, but it's been a while. Arrow video, Giallo, Creature Feature, Westerns, Monster Mash, Dystopian / Post-Apocalyptic, Revenge.
So we have done that.
Yeah, Revenge flicks, 70s Japanese, 80s action, sci-fi Vinegar Syndrome, company box set. We just did that.
We just did that.
So there's like 20 of them, roughly. I think.
Man, I'm trying to think of something good.
18 exact.
Can we do like demon films?
Ooh.
Possession films?
Yeah, hell yeah. I'm a sucker for those. Demon
Me too.
possession / possession. We haven't even done that either. That's a good idea.
No.
Okay.
I saw my Evil Dead set, so I was like,
I'm gonna rewatch those.
yeah, demon possession film.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I am more than happy to do that one. That sounds way more fruitful
okay.
than this shit we just did.
We could do that if you. That's cool with you, man. We could do that.
I'm full on in on that. So
Okay, so demon possession films.
fuck yeah, and exorcism. I'm gonna throw that in.
That all counts. Yeah,
all of
it all
anything ghost related, really.
Yeah.
Well, let's
That
keep
involves
it
a
demons.
demon or a demon possession.
Yeah, let's
Okay.
do demons, not ghosts. Although this
Okay.
whatever, supernatural.
It could be a ghost that is a demon.
Oh my god. So yeah, we'll do that. We are 30 seconds from exactly an hour and a half. So thank you all so much for watching, and thank you, Cultflix, for joining me back today. Although it was actually very entertaining. It was just not entertaining preparing for this.
Yeah. Thanks for having me again, Christian, and I wish it ended on a better note, but it was fun to bash on movies.
Oh
I'm not
yeah,
gonna lie.
I had a lot of fun doing this.